We have decided to do an experiment about sleep. Sleep is one of the cornerstones of our body and mind to function. We soon found out that sleep is a massive topic, and due to the timeline for this work, we've picked out different sections that we can relate to in our daily life. We have done an experiment to test our reaction time after different amounts of sleep, but you will hear much more about this at a later stage. Throughout this presentation, we are going to tell you why we need sleep, what happens while we sleep, and what would happen if we suddenly stopped sleeping. So now, we are ready to introduce you to the awesome and interesting world of sleep.
At the start of this project, we asked ourselves this question: what is sleep? We have been searching on various sites on the internet, and we have come to this answer. Sleep is a physical state where your body is at rest and is getting ready for a new day. When we get a good night of sleep, we wake up feeling refreshed. Sleep affects how we look, how we perform, and has a huge effect on our overall life.
Before we can start to tell you about the more exciting stuff, we have to get some background knowledge about sleep. There are two main stages of sleep. The first one is popularly called dream sleep. During this stage, people's eyeballs are moving rapidly around under their eyelids, and therefore this is also called rapid eye movement, or REM sleep. The other stage is where your eyes does not move around under your eyelids. This is called non-rapid eye movement, or NREM sleep.
Even though REM sleep is very important, it's not something that happens throughout the entire night. There's a constant switching going on between NREM sleep and REM sleep, as you can see in this diagram. The periods of REM sleep gets longer and longer throughout the night until we finally wake up.
REM sleep occurs about 70 to 90 minutes after falling asleep. And during this stage, people's eyeballs are going crazy underneath their eyelids. You can actually see this happening if you watch people sleep. During REM sleep, some pretty weird stuff happens. If you look at the electric activity of a brain in REM sleep, it almost exactly mimics the way the brain acts when it's awake. The biggest difference being the production of chemicals inside the brain, like norepinephrine, serotonin, and histamine, is almost completely shut down, and this causes the muscles to stop moving, which is why we can dream about running around, flying, or fighting ninjas without falling out of our beds. This is also what causes...
But why do we dream? While we sleep, our brain is sorting out all the different information that we have learned and experienced throughout the entire day. The theory is that another part of the brain, called the cortex, picks up these impulses, and it freaks out. It doesn't know what to do with this new information. So the cortex makes up a story that somehow matches this new information, and in that way a dream is created.
While we were looking for information about our topic, we came across a BBC documentary about a man in New York who never sleeps. He can simply stay up for an entire week without it having any effect on how he's able to solve problems or do advanced tasks. The host of the show then tried to do the same thing as him, and he also stopped sleeping. They then did some tests on the computer every couple of hours to look for any change in their reaction time. The results showed that the man from New York had absolutely no change in how he was able to solve the problems, while the host started to get big problems already after the first 24 hours. They then had to stop the experiment after 48 hours because the host started to feel very sick.
Så vi prøvede på at lave et samme eksperiment, bare lidt mindre. Og vi startede med kl. 8 om aftenen at teste vores reaktionstid, og testen igen med intervaller af 3 timer. Og så gik vi i seng kl. 3:30, hvor vi så også testede vores reaktionstid. Så stod vi op kl. 8 om morgenen, hvor vi igen testede vores reaktionstid. Og vores resultater viste, at Christians reaktionstid ikke rigtig skete noget med. Men min reaktionstid den blev lidt langsommere, men det var ikke særlig meget, så vi kan ikke være sikre på, om det var mangel af søvn, der gjorde det. Så ud fra vores eksperiment kan vi se, at der er forskel på fra menneske til menneske, hvordan man reagerer på mangel af søvn. Vi har også fundet ud af, at man er nødt til at tage det til det helt ekstreme, hvis man vil se nogle resultater.
So, as Bjørn said, we didn't take it to the very extremes. But in 1963, some students from New York were doing a science fair about sleep too. They wanted to test how long you were able to stay awake. So two of the guys from the group took turns to make sure that Randy Gardner didn't go to sleep over the extreme period of 11 days he was able to stay awake. But the lack of sleep was of course not without consequences. Already on the second day, Randy started to have big problems with focusing on stuff with his eyes. And due to this, he had to give up on watching TV. His eyes simply became too heavy. On the third day, he began to have big problems with mood swings. It became hard for him to pronounce hard words and long sentences, and on top of this, he also felt very ill, and it was hard for him to coordinate his movements. After 4 days with no sleep, he became very irritated. It was hard for him to concentrate and remember, and he started to get hallucinations. He, for example, saw a human while he was looking at a road sign, and he thought that he was a professional black football player. After a week with no sleep, his speech started to become completely ununderstandable. And after 264 hours, or 11 days, with no sleep at all, and no form of stimulations, not even coffee, Randy finally went to sleep. Scientists all over the earth heard about this experiment and traveled across the globe to join him. 10 days after the experiment, Randy was checked by a doctor, and his body had fully recovered. He still had a bit of problems remembering, but that cleared up after a couple of weeks.
Researchers have spent a lot of years trying to figure out why I feel tired. The secret is apparently that the well-known toxicant adenosine builds up in the brain while we are awake. The building up of adenosine in the brain can help to explain a thing that we call sleep pressure. This is what causes us to get more and more tired throughout the day. The reason for this is that the adenosine builds up in the brain as the day progresses. And when the concentration of adenosine reaches a given level, we just fall asleep. Adenosine can be perceived as a kind of poison. The more the brain contains of this substance, the more tired it gets. Where the line goes can differ from person to person, but most people aren't able to stay awake more than 3 days.
Adenosine has a very big impact on our sleep, and the substance is the reason that everyone has to sleep every night. There are no one, except that guy from New York, who never sleeps. They can simply stay up for an entire week without it having any effect. The substance is the reason that everyone has to sleep every night. There are no people, except the guy from New York, who never sleeps. This would require the persons to have very high amounts of adenosine in their brain, which is impossible. If you do not get the amount of sleep your body requires, there will still be a rest of adenosine in your brain when you wake up. And the consequences of this is that you will end up getting tired very fast again, because the concentration of adenosine is rising to the critical point. This is also why we sometimes wake up in the morning and still feel tired after a very long night's sleep.
American scientists have found out that the artificial light sources from things like TVs, smartphones, and computer screens are really bad if you want to get a good night of sleep. Light affects our circadian rhythm or daily rhythm more than any other kind of medicine, says Dr. Charles Keisler in his scientific magazine Nature. He believes that there of course are many reasons why people don't get the sleep they need, but he also thinks that there is one big technological invention, the electric light.
Especially the new kind of light sources, like LED lights and saving light bulbs, makes it very hard for us to get a good night's sleep. According to scientists, these light sources interfere a lot with our natural circadian rhythm, or daily rhythm, as some might call it. The circadian rhythm is controlled by special ganglion cells located in the back of our eyes, called the retina. The light that we perceive through our pupil gets picked up by these cells, which then proceed to send a signal to the brain about whether to feel tired or awake. The thing is that there is a difference on the color of the light throughout the day. The blue light in the morning signals to the brain that it's time to get up, while the red light at night signals to the brain that it should go to sleep. So this is where the problem with spreading of LED light comes in. Opposite the old glow-wire bulbs, these new light sources shine in a constant blue color, which the ganglion cells are especially sensitive to. This means that more and more people that are sitting in front of their LED TV or computer screens at night get exposed to light that tells their brain to stay awake. This is why a lot of people have problems falling asleep at night.
To conclude this presentation, we would like to say that sleep is a big factor in our overall life quality, and we should not be ignoring it in the way many people are doing today. We have certainly found out that we're not getting the amount of sleep that we're supposed to. We have also found out that we are making our sleep quality a lot worse by playing computer games before going to bed. So in the future, we're going to work on that and hopefully feel a lot more refreshed throughout the entire day.
We would like to thank our parents for supporting us throughout this process, and we would like to thank Mia for giving us our board, and last of all, we would like to thank Elsina for guiding us through this process and making us do our very best.